Hello, darling. Come a little closer to the fire and listen carefully. Tonight's tale is a quiet one, the one that begins with something small, a sound in the hallway, a shadow where there shouldn't be one. Sometimes the most frightening things don't chase you. Sometimes they simply wait. Let me tell you a story. Some nights have sound to them. Not loud sounds, not obvious ones, just small ones that shouldn't be there. The creak of wood that wasn't stepped on, the faint whisper of movement where nothing should be moving. Claire heard the sound first, the footsteps on a Tuesday night. She lived alone in a second-floor apartment at the end of a long hallway. The building was old, the kind where pipes hummed softly in the walls and the floors sometimes groaned like they were remembering something. So when she heard the sound, she didn't think much of it at first. Slow footsteps, back and forth, back and forth, somewhere outside her bedroom. She opened her eyes and stared at the ceiling for a moment. It was late, maybe 2 a.m. Probably the neighbor upstairs pacing again. He did that sometimes. Claire turned onto her side and closed her eyes. The footsteps continued, back and forth, measured, patient, like someone walking the length of the hall over and over again. After a few minutes, irritation replaced sleepiness. She sat up in bed and listened more carefully. The sound wasn't above her. It was on the same level that she was, just outside the bedroom door. Claire frowned. That didn't make sense. She slipped out of bed and padded quietly across the carpet. The apartment was dark, except for the faint blue glow of the digital clock on her nightstand. When she opened the bedroom door, the hallway outside was completely empty. No one. Just the dim yellow light in the kitchen sink, casting long shadows down the narrow corridor. Claire stood there for a moment listening. Silence. She shook her head and rubbed her eyes. Old buildings made strange noises. That was all. She closed the door and climbed back into bed. The footsteps started again the moment her head touched the pillow. Back and forth, back and forth. Claire sat up immediately this time. The sound was unmistakable now. Slow, deliberate steps, right outside the bedroom door. Her stomach tightened. She slid out of the bed again and crossed the room. The moment she opened the door, the sound stopped. The hallway was empty. Every light was exactly the same as she left it. The front door was locked, the chain still in place. Claire stood there longer this time, listening. Nothing. Finally, she closed the bedroom door again, a little more firmly than before. She climbed back into bed, pulled the blanket over her shoulders. For several minutes, everything was quiet. Then, she noticed something strange. The television across the room was off, but its dark screen reflected the faint glow from the clock beside her. Just enough light to see shapes in the room. Claire stared at the reflection lazily. Bed, lamp, chair, doorway. Her breathing slowed. Sleep was beginning to return. Then her eyes focused. The doorway and the reflection looked wrong. She slid up slowly. In the dark room, the dark screen of the television, she could see the bedroom door, and standing in that doorway, a tall shape, perfectly still. Her heart slammed into her ribs. Claire spun around. The doorway was empty. Her bedroom door was closed. Nothing stood there. She stared at it for a long moment, frozen. The apartment was completely silent. Slowly, carefully, she turned back towards the television screen. The reflection showed the same empty doorway. Claire let out a shaky breath and rubbed her face. Her nerves were playing tricks on her. That had to be it. She lay back down. The mattress shifted softly beneath her. And then she heard it. One step, right beside the bed. Claire's entire body locked. Another step, soft, measured, inside the room. She didn't turn her head. She didn't move. Her eyes slowly drifted to the television screen again. In the reflection, something stood beside her bed now. Tall, unmoving, watching her. Claire's breath caught in her throat. The figure tilted its head slightly, as if curious. Her heart hammered so loudly she was sure it could hear it. She squeezed her eyes shut. When she opened them again, the reflection was empty. Nothing stood beside her bed. Nothing stood in the doorway. Nothing stood anywhere. Claire bolted upright and flicked on the lamp. The light flooded the room. Empty. Completely empty. The closet door was closed. The bedroom door was closed. The apartment was silent. She stayed awake the rest of the night with every light on. By morning, exhaustion had convinced her it was nothing more than a waking dream. The next night, she slept with the television on, just in case. And sometime after midnight, she heard the footsteps again. Back and forth. Back and forth. Slow, patient, this time inside the bedroom. Claire lay frozen beneath the blanket. The footsteps stopped beside the bed. Silence filled the room. Then, a voice, quiet and curious, spoke somewhere near her ear. Strange. A pause. She can't see me, but she knows I'm here. Claire's voice trembled. The voice sounded almost thoughtful, amused. After a moment, the footsteps began again. Back and forth. Back and forth. Slow, patient. As if the man in the hallway had decided to stay. And somewhere in the darkness, beside her bed, the slow pacing continued. Well, darling, now you know the story. So tonight, when the lights are out and the house is quiet, listen carefully. If you hear footsteps pacing somewhere in the darkness, back and forth, you might want to keep your eyes closed. If you enjoyed this creepy tale, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join me again soon for another story from the darker corners of the night. Sleep well, darling, if you can.